Okay, well, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Renée Muzquiz. I am the Director of Operations for Music Oregon and Music Portland. Joining me today is Mara McLaughlin. She's the Executive Director for both Music Oregon and Music Portland. Yeah, so I just want to tell you what's going to happen here and then we'll get started. So we're basically, the agenda is that I'm going to go through the guidelines and eligibility, review the application questions, and maybe talk a little bit about them. We're going to talk about scoring, how we're going to score these applications to help you think about how you're going to spin your application. Maybe provide a few suggestions or recommendations. I'm also going to go through the reporting requirements. When you are an Echo Fund winner, there are some requirements for how to be in compliance with your grant award. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end. I'll try to give a lot of room for that. So I'm going to try to go through this, quickly, but give you guys a chance to ask a lot of questions. So please save your questions for the end. I may answer your questions while we go along. So once we are at the Q&A, we'll have people paste their question or type their questions into the chat, and Mara will help me field those. So yeah, let's see. We also have some important links we'll share at the end as well. If you can't stay the whole time, like I said, this will be recorded and posted on the Music Oregon site. So to get started, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a copy of the application open. This is me signed into Good Grants. When you first sign in, you won't have all these things. You'll just see apply on yours, but you'll see the option to start your application, and you'll go ahead, and I went ahead and filled one out, with my own band. I have an all-femme David Bowie cover band, and I thought it would be helpful to have some, example for y'all. So basically, right at the beginning, it goes through all the guidelines. This is also on our website, musicoregon.org/echo-fund-guidelines. But yeah, let's go through this together. Basically, we already launched the application on the 19th. We wanted to give y'all a chance to look at it and see what's up before we went through it. And this will close on September 19th, right at midnight. So this grant supports working musicians by funding creative non-performance projects that support new growth and spur creative and career development. So the funded projects must be completed between December 9th, 2024 and August 1st, 2025. So we'll say more about that in a little bit, but you can apply for any amount between starting at $1,000 through $5,000, whatever makes sense for your project. And we have 4 main categories, and I don't know if you've applied in the past, but you will have to pick one. So while before we, you could kind of throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and apply for a bunch of things, but we are actually doing this a little bit more cleanly this year. It makes more sense that if you have a project, you're focusing on production, promotion, distribution, or resources. All of those things are very tangible projects. They're something that will, that you can easily prove to a panel that this is something that is going to launch my career forward in some way. So I'll go through some. If you want some sample projects, there is a link here on our website that you can look through to see what people are applying for. So things that you cannot apply for are live performances, events, and touring. Personal expenses like rent, groceries, or childcare, paid or brokered placement on streaming lists and platforms. Those are too much of a chance, and a lot of times they're very scammy. So we don't fund that. We will do more of if you want to hire a promotional assistant or PR person or something to help you, that's totally fine. But this is a little bit more scammy often. So education, training, lessons, gas, food, travel expenses, rehearsal space, rental costs, activities that don't take place within the grant window. So just to be clear on that, if you are recording an album and you're applying to record the rest of your album, the part of the album that's already recorded before December 9th, we cannot back pay. So you're going to apply for funds for something, essentially you don't have these funds, so that's why you're applying for them. So we are wanting to fund you if, fund anything that happens after your award will be dispersed, which will be around December 9th. So, okay. And then of course a project that's not related to music. So you can apply if you're an independent working musician at this time, and this is just, again, like sort of like because of limited funding. We really want to fund independent musicians, not musicians that are fully employed full-time by a nonprofit music institution or you receive a salary for your performance right now. This is the commercial industry that we're targeting, and that's an important part of the quote arts that are left out often. So that's why you have to be an independent working musician. Musicians residing in the greater Portland area, this is really important. You must be in any of these 3 zip codes. And part of that is because the city of Portland is now funding a huge chunk of what we are giving out this year. And so while a lot of other funds were also raised during Portland Music Month as well. So it's both on the efforts of Music Oregon and City of Portland that are a part of this. Unfortunately, we did not get any money outside of Portland. And so if you are a Portland artist and you have a Portland zip code, that is okay.
To be clear, Portland Metro is acceptable because we can use we can use Portland Music Month funding to support that. But a majority of the artists that we're dealing with are within Portland city zip codes.
Right. Musicians who are 18 years of age or older, while we recognize there are professional musicians of all ages, the grant funding sources for adults are far fewer, and we're trying to fill that gap. Individuals and businesses. So yes, if you're an LLC, you know what? As a musician, you're a business. So yes, we fund you as an LLC, or if you're a sole proprietor, we can do that. You have to provide us with a W-9 form and a social security number, taxpayer ID, all those things. You have to be one applicant, an application per project. Do not take all of your band members and all submit the same project. They will not be all funded. Only one of them will, and we might even not like that you did that. So just don't do that. So this year the city of Portland is partnering with us as I had mentioned, pardon me. This is important. There are 3 main local service providers for the arts for the city of Portland this year. RAC, you know pretty well probably, Music Oregon, and then Friends of IFCC were like the three main recipients of City of Portland funds this year. What they have told us for this year is that you can apply for funds for all 3 of those grants if you want, but the total cumulative amount of those grants has to be $5,000. You cannot go above that. So if you win a grant for $2,000 from Music Oregon, you can apply for up to $3,000 from the other 2 people. And we are the first people to launch our grant program this year out of the 3. So it's not anything in the past. So moving forward from this day forward, RAC is about to launch their program. I believe, I don't remember the dates for RAC or IFCC right now, but moving forward, yeah, that's the rules. So if you have any questions, let me know about that. And that's just a City of Portland rule on that. So, okay. And there's more information at this link here. You can't apply if you're not a musician. You can't be a radio DJ or playlist curator, meaning if you're just spinning records at the club, we can't, we want you to have a creative contribution to the music that you're applying for. Musicians who are full-time employees, we already talked about that. You can't be a board member or an employee of Music Oregon. That's pretty much just a couple of us at this point. And then nonprofit organizations, schools, and school districts. We only grant awards to individuals or, bands, but individuals, not organizations. So one person from your band or your group or whatever will have to put their name on this application. But if you have an LLC as a band, we can give the award to that LLC. So you will have to pick one person to apply, however. Okay, so let's go through this application a little bit. Um, like I said, I filled this out as an example so it wouldn't be just empty. So you just have to confirm a couple of things here, go to the applicant information, fill that out. When it says project group artist name, you put like, it's like your stage alias is what we're looking for. What do you perform under or what do you release music under? That's mainly what we're looking for. Short bio, we do have some word limits on things. This is 167 words that I've used here. We really don't need it to be long. One point I really want to make for a lot of these questions is do not feel like you have to fill the space. Just be very simple and straightforward. We want this information, and panelists do not want to read through really clunky applications. So just put what's needed there. Don't worry if you're way under the max or anything. Yeah, so web presence, you can put your Instagram in one of these. You have the option to upload or link to an electronic press kit. And then you can put your address in here as well. Okay. Again, you have to pick one of the categories that you're applying for. And then a one sentence description of your project. This can just be very straightforward. We want to make a professional promo reel to help us land better gigs. So, and then you get a chance below here on your full project description. Oh, and let me say something else about this one right here, actually. This is like how the panel will kind of quickly skim through when they're looking, oh, what was that application there? I need to look back. So it's just something really simple that says, okay, that's what they're applying for. So right here is where you get a chance to actually talk about your project. What are you going to do? Who is involved? We do want some details here. Prove to us that you have picked a good team of people to work with here, and talk about, like, you know, how you're going to do it and what's the end result, basically. So I'm not going to read this through. I basically said that my band was applying for a promo reel. We have Bowie Productions working on this as a local filmmaker at Starman Theater in Portland. I'm pointing out that these are local people, and that I said that the members of this film crew have all actually filmed the David Bowie concert. This is obviously not true, but I'm trying to prove to you that these are legit people. So good things to like support your argument here. And yeah, so I just described how we're going to do this. We're inviting our audience and we're going to dress up in costumes. So describing all that. On this timeline, what is the timeline? Echo Fund Awards will be distributed no later than December 9th. Take us through your project from start to finish, including rough dates. It's okay if things change as long as it's completed by August 1st. We want to understand how you're thinking about it. This is just so that we know that you've actually been thoughtful about this and that you have, you have a good plan. We want to see your plan. So I've just written this out as a timeline. Here's a date. Here's what we're going to do on that date. And so that is totally fine. Again, there are 1,200 characters. I used about half of them. That's totally fine. Make sure your start and end date are between December 9th and August 1st, 2025. And then how will this project help you grow creatively or reach your goals as a musician? Major Tomboys envisions ourselves expanding our touring capabilities and reach well beyond Portland. We like to elevate our brand and image so that we can be on par with similar international femme touring acts like Zapparella, Black Sabbath, or Hell's Bells. This promo reel will be a huge update since we launched in 2019 and showcase our ability to bring out large audiences engaged with our fans in a professional way. Okay, pretty succinct, but there. So what does this is an important one, and I do want to read this one because, just to give an example of what we're looking for here. What does this project mean to you in terms of your identity and what you stand for as an artist? For this question, it is your opportunity to kind of step a little beyond like the factual questions you've had so far and talk more about who you are and why this project is important to you. So right here, I connected with, why we love David Bowie, and, there's more to it. So let me go ahead and read it. But our goal with this promo reel is to honor the counterculture of artistry and queerness in David Bowie's music, as well as our own identities. We completely geek out on Bowie's challenging music as a 6-person band complete with guitars, synth, drums, bass, sax, and flute. So it's important that this reel also highlights our musicianship as femme rockers. While we are true to the songs and our fans definitely get to indulge in the nostalgia of Bowie's music, we are not your ordinary tribute band. We don't dress up as characters and pretend to be Bowie and his band. Instead, we celebrate the femme, queer, and tomboy identities in our band that give us a unique punk rock feel that has already generated a devoted following here in Portland. We know that allure is already palpable to our fans, so capturing this on film in an artful way will allow us to reach others who are hungry for a fresh creative take on the tribute band experience. So I'm basically talking a little bit more about who we are, why this is important to us, and why this is like going to, you know, yeah, why this is important to us, basically, is what we want to see. Yeah. The budget's a little different this year. We actually have a line item budget instead of uploading it or writing it freestyle. This is just for cleaner data here this year. You do at the top, we're going to ask you to put how much you're seeking, but then down here, break it down, and it will add up here so you can see that it matches here. So in this case, again, be really straightforward. All we need is a breakdown of what you're going to spend the money on, a description of each of the items or services you are purchasing to support the cost. So you get up to 10 budget items here. And at the end of this application, you'll have the opportunity to upload additional files. If you have any quotes or links to products that support your budget, this is where you can upload them. So it's important, mainly, it's really important that the prices make sense. We have on our panel, we are making sure to have people from the music industry. So we are people that, I'm not on the panel, but the people that we choose for the panel are past Echo Fund winners. They're people from Music Oregon or Music Portland Board, people all around the community. And they will know, if, you're saying that mixing one song is $3,000 and that doesn't make sense, right? So just know that, research what you're doing. Don't just guess here. Look at a few different places. Even if you haven't chosen yet, look at a few different places. Get some quotes if you have to. Right here I have Starman Theater Board recording, $75. Black Star Productions mixing, 10 songs, $1,500. Bowie Productions filming, $750, and then they're editing, $1,500. So total budget $38.25. Okay, this is the very last, well, one of the last parts of the application here. This is where you can show us more. If you want to add more samples of your music, if you want to put your, pictures of your band like I've done here, this is also where you will, you can attach some of the receipts or not receipts because you haven't paid for anything yet, but quotes for your project for that. So that's about it there. The very last part of this application is voluntary. It's demographic info. One thing that's important is to start this section, you click Add Contributor. It goes pretty fast. There's about 10 questions here, and these are city standards. And the reason why you would, if you are interested in filling this out, it helps Music Oregon figure out if we are actually reaching our mission to serve underserved artists. So it is highly useful for us, but also extremely voluntary. So the other thing is, once you're done, it's because you're the only person out of like your group or band that might be filling this out, you have the opportunity to add a contributor here for other band members. So if you want to talk about the demographics for the rest of your band members, that's fine. The only way we are sharing this data is in aggregate. So the city will not get all of your individual information or for all of this, it's all confidential. So it'll just be, we'll say we had this percentage of BIPOC applications, and that's it, for example. So yeah, fill that out if you would like, and then you can submit your application, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, I said no, that's not ready yet. So let's see, what did I do? Applicant information. Oh, I guess my phone number is incorrect. I'm not sure why. But anyway, you can submit your application after that. Okay, so let's see, we are at 12:23, so let me take a moment to check out what I was,
I'm gonna give Renee a minute to get
yeah, go
all
ahead.
reconnoitered. A number of you are asking questions for clarification about that multiple grant thing, which I can just answer as Renee does her prep. Um, it just the idea because all of these 3 grant funds are being supported by the city of Portland. They don't want to be supporting the same artist with full grants at all of them. They can do partial. So if you apply first, where you open first, you apply to that for $2,000. You can't apply for more than $3,000 from either RAC or IFCC. And if you do, they'll find it because we'll be sharing through the city of Portland who won our grant. Um, so you should absolutely apply for all of them. If you apply for this one and rack starts before this one even closes, apply for that one too. Ask for as much as you want. And, you may not get ours, but you get theirs. So hopefully that answers that question. And we can get back on track.
All right, so we are almost to the Q&A, but I wanted to go through a couple other things real quick. Excuse me. One is our scoring. There are 4 categories of scoring that we use. One is, and keep this in mind, have they used local vendors and contractors? Local can mean Portland, it can be Oregon. But yes, this is highly encouraged. We want you to use the community. We want you to find professionals in the community to help you with your project. We want to invest in the community, so that's important to us. 2 is contribution to career. How well does, I'm sorry, how significant of a contribution will the Echo Fund make to your career trajectory if you're awarded? The third one is planning and prep. How well does the application demonstrate planning and preparation through a clear project description, identified collaborators, timeline, and budget? And the last category is benefit. So overall, how much will the project benefit the applicant through new growth, moving to the next level, and spurring creative or career development and or supporting timely activities? So those are the 4 things we score on. We do not judge by artistic merit. And we also do not count off points for grammar or spelling or anything like that. And on that note, if you do have any accommodations you need for the application, please reach out at contact@musicOregon.org and we can do our best to accommodate your needs for that. So lastly, I wanted to just give a few little tips about what makes a strong application and some sort of recommendations for the Echo Fund. The main thing is to kind of ask yourself overall, like when you're filling out your application, what would make a panel confident that they'll give you thousands of dollars to execute a project? So it can be, and it doesn't have to be all 3 of these things, but experience. If you lack this, then maybe give more examples of the work that you're doing now. Maybe you haven't been out there as much. You're just starting this certain band or something like that. Then give as many examples of your past of your work if you have it, or make sure your budget items, as I mentioned, are reasonably priced, researched budget items, and then that your timeline is thoughtful as well. There's a really great resource that I know CD Baby has put out. It's like a DIY record release PDF that they do. So if you sign up, it's one of the first things they've been offering forever. It really helps you kind of put it together a timeline of what you're doing is releasing a record. So yeah, just really, having your ducks in a row, be thoughtful. And then really a big thing is a compelling story. It's more important than filling the space. So why should we fund your project or over someone else's? Give that some thought and put that in that section about what this means to you, especially. So definitely talk about who you're working with and why you chose them. Knowing the credentials of the people that you're working with can also help people know, oh, this is going to be a really fantastic project, you know? And then just keep it simple and straightforward, you know? Again, don't fill the space. I'm going to just keep repeating that because it's not, you don't feel pressured to do that. So, oh, one more thing before the Q&A, sorry, is the reporting requirements. So as you're applying, just make sure that you do review these. We will ask you if you are an award winner, we will ask you for a signed grant agreement and W-9. You'll have to acknowledge Music Oregon and the city of Portland when you're sharing about your project. And that's with our logo. That's definitely with our logo, each of those logos, and we'll provide that to you. And one of the big things that we do that we really like to do, and part of this is to help you promote your project, is to participate in a video interview. If this is a challenge for you for any reason, reach out to us again for accommodations. But that's something that we feel is important, has been really a sweet kind of little deal about this because it helps us, you know, put more on social media about what you're doing and give you a chance to like talk about your project. And I think that's great. So that is something that will be scheduled between the day we announce the awards and December 9th. So during that time, we'll have a weekend or so where we'll have somebody come film. We'll have a location where you'll come and we'll film you talking about your project and ask a few questions. Pretty simple. So during your project, make sure you're taking behind the scenes photos as well. And then the last thing we will have you do is submit a quote for how the Echo Fund application helped you. So those are things I just wanted to say up front because I didn't want to like, you know, surprise anybody for what is required, especially the behind the scenes photos. Some people, you know, don't naturally take those, and it is something we do ask for your process. So that's about it. I do think we can open it up. Is there anything else, Mara, that you think I should mention before we go to the Q&A?
I don't think so. I know people got wrapped in the axle. We're going to look up and publish dates about when our application opens and closes, when rack up application opens and closes, and when IFC, so that you can make decisions for yourself about how and where you want to apply and for how much.
Actually, those are there is a link to where that's posted on the city website.
We'll make sure that everybody in this
Sure.
this group gets, like, we'll grab it and share it. I think it's clearly something that sort of wrapped people in the axle. So we want to make sure we leave them with some clarity.
Cool.
Yeah, I think otherwise I put links in the section. So why don't does anybody have questions that they haven't posted in? I've got one actually from Alex. Would a live-in studio video recording fit under the promotion or video production bucket, or the production bucket, as the majority of funds would go towards session musicians, engineering, and production?
I think I'm just hoping I got everything from that. What would not count would be like the rent for the studio. But like if you're producing a video in that studio and paying professionals to help you with that, then that would count.
Yeah, and Alex, I assume Alex is a musician
Okay.
themselves. So let's see, were there other questions that people had?
So
Andy?
a lot of questions about the grant. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I couldn't figure out how to raise my hand, though I use Zoom every day. I had a question. Let's say you're hoping to purchase a piece of used or vintage gear, and at the time that you submit the quote, you submit an estimate, and that piece of gear is no longer available should you receive those funds. Would that be allowed to say, okay, you may now use those same funds to purchase comparable gear from the same types of local institutions? Or yeah, I guess, would that be something that would be acceptable? Is there a good pathway to handle, hey, I intend to use this to purchase this specific item, that specific item was not available, here's a comparable item?
That's a great question. I would say as long as it's a comparable item that is going to basically fulfill the application that what you applied for and the uses that you applied for, that's great. But the important thing is to keep in touch with us. Something that, I can't say enough is that, if you do win an award, and something happens during the process that delays you for any reason, talk to us about it. Please always keep in touch. Don't be scared to just reach out about it. We want to know what's going on. We want to know, that these funds are going to use, and all we need is your communication. So if that happens, then I would say just reach out, let us know what happened, let us know what you're going to purchase instead. We'll just give you a good thumbs up on that, I think.
Yeah, I think in terms of communication, one of the ways that we love people to see the Echo Fund process and the award grants as a promotional channel. If you're sending us an update about good things that are happening as you're developing your project, we can put that out into the world. And then once your project is done, we promote your project and we do, media attention, and we've got different Echo Fund winners that, go and have media exposure. So we'd really like to see this evolving as a way to help you promote the project that you've created. So staying in touch, not just for challenges, but for good news is also a great thing. Let's see, we've got a couple of other questions coming in. Let's see, Rena is asking about mixing the album in Dolby Atmos. We should talk about Dolby Atmos. By building out your studio for Dolby to be Dolby certified, building your studio would not be supported by this grant. Mixing album with an existing Dolby Atmos vendor would be. That's just because we've got limited funds right now and we need to keep the definitions tight.
Okay, so it just wouldn't be considered part of the grant then at all,
Yeah, for sure.
So like, if I went and paid a Dolby mixer, that would be fine, but I can't make my studio Dolby certified.
Yeah,
Okay.
at this point.
Bummer. Do you think the other grants would?
I don't believe so. They're arts and culture grants. They're not infrastructure grants, but ping me separately, Rena.
Okay.
Because I may have some other ideas for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Jessa, good to see you. I understand that one member for a specific project may apply. Would one person be able to apply on a benefit of two different projects? If they're two different bands, I would say make sure it's two different people applying for two separate band projects.
I agree. Yeah, definitely separate projects, but if your name is on two projects, the panel isn't going to approve both of them. So I would say, yeah, somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, just spread the love a little bit. Wendy, if I'm working on a genre like mariachi and have found the help abroad for the initial demos for my songs as a tool for local musicians to help them professionally record locally for songs to be, let me try that again. If I am working on a genre like mariachi and have found the help abroad for initial demos. Oh, so you want to use international resources to make the recordings? Is that right, Wendy? So Wendy left us.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was just curious. I've looked around here for the help to, I'm a singer-songwriter, so to get the initial idea of my song and melody with the track. And I haven't found anyone local. So I was curious if I found someone to make my demo abroad just for the original demo, and then I get that professionally recorded here with local musicians. Would that be okay?
Renee?
So. Yeah, I would say so. The local musicians, just remember, we are emphasizing the local musicians piece. If you can make a case that says like this is going to be beneficial to local musicians or to the local community, I can understand that being like, a great like I guess route to take, I suppose, for that. So yeah, I think the important thing is to kind of connect it to why it's beneficial for the community, even if you're stepping outside for a moment for that. So
okay, thank you.
Daryl Grant. Hello, Daryl Grant. Is the IFCC Artist and Facilitator in Residence, AFR, 9-week residency in the $12,000 grant award, one of the city grants that makes one ineligible for ECHO funding?
No.
You should check with IFCC, but I believe that it doesn't. The artist residency program at the IFCC pre-exists this program, and I think it operates separately. I mean, it's just on a different scale and doing a different thing. So I'd check with IFCC. I'm sure they've already explored that. But that's an amazing residency program. Renee, have I missed something?
Yeah, no, it's that particular residency shouldn't be, it's a separate type of grant. The 3 grants that are all that are, that are similar to the Echo Fund are all going to be $1,000 to $5,000. I think maybe some of them are, you might be able to do $500, like as low as 500, but yeah, that's a separate grant. These are all more like artist project grants for all 3 of those organizations, and they're similar. So you can read more on the website for the city, and again, we'll post that link here in a little bit here.
Can I just take a minute and say, how cool is it that there are so many grants that independent musicians can apply for, that we have to stress about this? I mean, how great. So wonderful. Let's see, we are looking at Lana has a question about additional item attachments.
Yeah. When you were going through the application, there was that spot at the very end where it was like, this is where you can put stuff. So I was curious, one, if you're looking for like to promote a project that's like finished or on its way to being finished, like attach, like would it be appropriate to attach like unreleased songs, for example?
Yeah, whatever you want to do to support, like, hey, this is what I'm working on, and I want to show the panel that, this is the quality of what I've got, yeah, it's pretty open. That's an optional section, but I take advantage of it, put examples of what your work is there, do things there that will support your application. So it could be anything.
And so would that also be a place to like provide evidence of like, look at stuff that I've done in the past also, or like who I am as an artist, like just like whatever?
Sure, yeah, if you think that that's like, you want to use it sort of as a resume for your past art, then yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Yeah, keep it tight. So it's not many attachments. If you've got a list of links to reviews that you want to promote, kind of bundle them just to make it easier on the reviewers.
Yeah, and again, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. So, just keep that in mind.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Joe, can you pay yourself for studio mixing of other session musicians recording your project? You can, Joe. I will tell you, we're going to be coming out later this year with some incredible research that has been done that looks at the likelihood of any measure of sort of online success, of pickup, listens, any of the things by which unfortunately music is being measured now, by things that are done not by professionals. It's a pretty staggering set of data. And so, yes, you can pay yourself for studio mixing, but the lack of a professional dedicated resource for it is going to be looked at, because that is one of the things that we look at, is like, how are you picking the resources that you're using for different things? So if you are putting yourself forward as the mixing engineer, you really need to validate your credibility as a mixing engineer by referencing other projects you've done or things like that. Otherwise, it's kind of look like, cool, and I'm doing this part, and that won't necessarily fly as well.
For sure. I think I'm thinking of just if I have studio musicians in my own studio, if I can pay myself for the time of recording those musicians as opposed to like later stage mixing.
I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah, just making clear that this is a professional studio. The fact that you're a musician and it sounds like you have a professional studio. Yeah, the studio is named, I imagine. You know, just make sure it's clear. Sounds like it's fine.
Cool.
Yeah, keep in mind that the grant, you know, you will have to pay taxes on this grant. It's basically income. So just be, again, reasonable about your budget items. If you want to pay yourself a little bit for the administration of this project, we understand. But the most important thing we're trying to get out here is like really like reach out to professionals, you know, for things. We want you to benefit the community. We want you to take the time to like find somebody that's like, you know, that might be above your own abilities to do something to make yourself look as awesome as possible or sound as awesome as possible. You know, just keep that in mind. So
Let's see, Joshua, can you pay yourself for songwriting, arranging time as one of your local vendors? No.
okay. Looks like
Yeah.
Tyler answered.
And yeah, and that is kind of what we're talking about. And again, it is about having demonstrable output because now we have other funders and investors. And one of the great things about this is that we are starting to engage other people and having a lot of outside scrutiny. We need to have grants that are going towards projects that specifically produce an output so that we can keep growing the endowment, so we can expand the kinds of things that we support. I mean, we want to be able to support everything, but it's a relatively small grant program. And so we've got to be really letter of the law in the near term. I think, you know, making sure that you're, you know, give us a project budget and defend it. And we'll look at everything with clear eyes, but we're trying to make sure that, you know, we don't burn anybody's time unnecessarily. Somebody asked about the rack reallocation, and to some degree, yeah, it's the reallocated rack money. And that's with it the city has, and that's why they're having that sort of distribution. And you know, the big news is that when they broke apart rack, they reassessed the cultural community in Portland, and they said, oh, our popular music scene, that is culture that needs to be supported. And that's absolutely historic. So yes, it is the same money.
I'm looking at Paul's question about enlisting existing and new venues and hiring musicians in a way that makes their music budget easier to sustain. I'm just reading through.
Yeah, Paul, let's talk offline. That sounds no, that's a sort of infrastructure idea, which is probably cool. I know you're always breaking the rules, but let's talk about that offline. It doesn't sound like it fits in.
Yeah, I think I would have to know more how it would fit in one of the categories. That's all I have to say. So about that, but
yeah.
And yes, again, like to be clear, you can pay yourself as part of the budget. The entire grant, paying yourself, it's not something that we're really interested in, like I said. So remember that we're scoring about using local vendors and stuff like that. So, but yes, it's allowed. So, can the output be measurable increases in gig opportunities, new venues, more revenues to musicians? If you mean by output that the whatever you're applying for is going to result in those things, then yes. But if you mean something else, then I might need you to clarify.
Yeah, I think he was expanding on his first idea.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we'll be talking. One of the things that's true about this, and Renee touched on a lot of this, is that grant writing is kind of a weird art because you are trying to communicate something succinctly to human beings. And there are specific things that make that process more successful. And 6 years in with Music Portland and Music Oregon, I am just now starting to get decent at writing grants. We are very excited to offer another session on how to craft a successful grant application. And this is not going to be specific to the Echo Fund. This is going to talk more generally, helping musicians who haven't had access to a lot of grants really learn some of the stuff. Missy Hastings is a longtime experienced grant writer and grant assessor. in multiple states, and she's going to be giving a session coming up on September 4th to help folks. So please
Yeah.
take a moment to do that as well. I'll put the link
Mara, will
in.
you paste those links? I think before we lose everyone, it's about 10 till 1,
Yep.
getting about there. I want to paste some important links in the chat. One of those is that how to write a successful grant application
Mhm.
session with Missy, and so we have a registration link for that. And
It looks
then,
like Brendan is also going to be teaching a course in January at PCC on grant writing, which is awesome. Brendan, that's super exciting.
let's see. And the other links we have are just the links to apply, how to set up an account on Good Grants, which we have a YouTube tutorial for, and then another YouTube tutorial that's the step-by-step process of filling out the application. I will say one caveat of those 2 YouTube tutorials is that they were created for 2022, so the application has changed a little bit since then. But in general, things really still apply. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at contact@musicOregon.org if you have any other questions about your grant or the process or anything like that. I want you to feel like there's an open door here. And yeah, I hope that we've been able to answer good questions for you. We still have 10 minutes though, so feel free to keep going. Do we skip anyone?
I'd love to hear from folks like what kind of distribution are we thinking? How many people are thinking about or want to make an album or record a new album? Is that most people? Yeah.
Looks like it's you know.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to kind of get a sense of what people are hoping to do, what money is needed right now. Some people, publicity is always a big challenge. Maybe you've already made a record and now you need to get it out there.
Alex said that you wanted to clarify about your question regarding production promotion.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because the 2 buckets that you guys have or the 4 buckets that you guys have outlined, video production is in one, and studio stuff is in another. And the product that we want to make is we want to make a video that's in a local studio using a local videographer, and we want to pay local musicians. So it seems like all of that would go into the production side of things, but the actual product that we want to make is the video, which would be in the
like a music video.
Yeah, yeah. So I still don't know which one of those buckets we should use.
I would just go with video production on that, and it's not whatever your project fits best into, I would say is fine. So
yeah, great,
cool.
We are not totally sure how many people are going to apply this year. Last year we had like 217 applications and 18 winners. Because the city is giving us some funding and helping us promote this year, we're expecting maybe double. So 450 or something like that, maybe. And we're hoping to do 20 to 25 grants this year if we can. So based on the amount we have to fund. So
everybody good? What do we do with 8 minutes of our lives back? Everybody go get a drink of water, pat yourselves on the back. We are here. Renee is dedicated to making this work for musicians. And yeah, we're always here. We are excited. Let's keep growing and making good stuff in Portland.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Email me if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Renee.
Copy the links before you go.
I can send an email with the links for everyone.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'll just send it on the same list I just sent the reminder
Okay.
on. So, yeah.
Yep, will do, Brendan. Um, all right, you got people, we'll leave it open. Bye, Mary.
I just wanted to say thank you very much. And this is the first grant that I'm going to be applying for. So I may be reaching out with questions.
No problem. Definitely go to Missy's event too. Like maybe
Yes, I've
start kind of playing with it and then go to that event, because I think it'll be hearing that will help you sort of modify the way you're
absolutely
thinking about it. Yeah.
great. Excellent. Thank you so very. Oh, and look at this email. Yeah, this is really, really great. Thank you. And I've copied all the links and everything. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Take care. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Do you guys know if you can like start the application and then like work like can you go back and forth and like leave it like go edit? Yeah, you can.
That's a great question.
I meant to mention that. That's actually it might be good to still work on the questions outside of the application. You just never know with technology, you know. Just you don't want your work erased for any reason, and not that I think it will, but it's just something we encourage. So
Like type it out in another application.
yeah, just so you can cut and paste into the application. But yes, you can save it as you go until you submit it. So in
Yeah,
fact,
and it helps with word count too. You know, if you are running long and you're editing it in a Google Doc or something, you can make sure that your word counts are right before you submit it.
yeah,
Makes sense. Cool. Thank you so much for doing this. This was really helpful.
Good.
Wrap your head around the whole thing.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna end it. Have a good one.